Boxing Day sales were, of course, on today. The National Retail Association expected shoppers to splurge $23.9 billion this year, which is triple the amount spent on the Black Friday sales. And according to new analysis, the cost of living crunch seems to have affected spending patterns right across Australia. Households are cutting back on purchasing electronics by 40%, but not on coffees, not on brunches. Rental payments, well, they're 12% higher than they were last year, and spending on health practitioners has also been 12% higher. So let's bring in macro business chief economist Leith Van Onselen, who's joining us now. I mean, are you surprised by any of this, Leith?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, Australian households have had it pretty tough in the last 12 months. The national accounts for the September quarter that were released, earlier this month showed that per capita household incomes have actually fell by 6% in the last year. So effectively, households are getting smashed, obviously, by higher interest rates. They've had the wage growth below inflation, rising rents, all that sort of thing. And because of that, we're actually cutting back spending. Yeah. So the latest retail data from the ABS, as well as the household consumption data, is all falling. So I'm not surprised that retailers are doing it tough on the goods side. And also, there's a global glut in goods at the moment. So basically, anything that comes in to the country via boat or ship has been falling in price. And we're basically getting a reverse of what happened during the pandemic when we had all these supply shortages. Now we've got the supply side has rebounded just as global demand's decreased. So effectively, we've got this oversupply of goods as well, and that's now exporting goods deflation across the globe.
That's really interesting. I mean, Leith, I know that when America gets a sniffle, we need a lung transplant here in Australia, and former US President Donald Trump, the likely Republican candidate, well, he's proposed slapping a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the United States. I thought we had a free trade agreement with them. I mean, that's not going to help our economy, is it?
No, it won't. I mean, look, I don't think that'll get up. Well, I hope it doesn't anyway. It seems like pretty retrograde sort of economics. No. But at the same time, if there's one country that could potentially do it, maybe it's the US, because it's such a, it's basically, the largest economy in the world. We certainly couldn't do it, but let's all hope it doesn't do that.
Yeah, okay. So we've had multiple wars through the course of this year, elections, more, threatening to the global economy this year. I mean, what can we expect in 2024?
Yeah, look, I think we're actually, and obviously this has got caveats on it because there's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East here, which could easily scuttle this discussion. But I think, I think most of the central banks have actually finished their tightening cycles, which is good after 18 months of absolutely punishing households across the world, especially here in Australia. So because of this whole, global deflation in goods story, I think, inflation's coming down across the globe, including here. And I think, and also we've got some weakening economies. So I think the central banks are done with rate rises. We can actually start seeing some rate cuts later in the year, which should be great news. Here, domestically, I think we're going to have another pretty tough year because obviously households have just been smashed. We've had falling incomes, etc. One thing that's actually held up the economy in the face of those falling incomes was households drew down on their savings. So the savings rate fell to a zero effectively in the national accounts. What that means is because they've burned through the savings, unless we get income growth, we're not going to have growth in household consumption. So all our growth is going to effectively come from population growth. And I think that what that means is that Australia's going to have a very weak economy. We're probably going to have this ongoing per capita recession into 2024.
And I mean, isn't this a real point, this Ponzi scheme of immigration? We're bringing migrants here, which has always been the basis of how we've grown a lot of things in Australia. But I don't think they've got real purpose. There's actually not a real gig for them to do. We can't have a barista-led recovery in Australia, for instance. The planners, they love the idea of plenty of coffee makers, but we want people to go and build dams and build power stations, build roads, rail, that sort of infrastructure. We're just not doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Look. A major problem is our immigration program now is skewed through the universities, through the foreign student route, and unfortunately, a lot of the data that comes out there, a lot of them actually get paid a lot less than domestic graduates. They don't work as much. Yeah. They tend to be underemployed, etc. So they tend to go into more lower skilled professions, and it's also tends to be professions that we don't necessarily have shortages in. We don't get builders in. We don't get which is exactly what we need, obviously, with this infrastructure boom and housing boom.
Yeah,
so we've got basically we've got all these supply mismatches, and the biggest example of that's actually, for example, engineering. So foreign engineers make up 60% of engineers in Australia, foreign-born engineers, and half of them are either unemployed or underemployed, and they don't work in engineering, which just shows you how broken the skilled migration system is, and it's the same across accounting and several other so-called skilled professions.
Yeah, no, it's a real mess, no doubt about it. Leith Van Onselen, thank you so very much. I mean, I just don't know what the government planners think they're currently doing, because there's no vision about where we want to take Australia to. That's what's missing.